Here's what really happened at that company that set a $70,000 minimum wage. Okay, you guys heard about this one. Chelsea, you pulled this article up for us, I believe. This was a pretty hot topic not so long ago. A CEO decided that the starting basement floor wage, whatever you would say, for all employees is at least $70,000. So before I get into this, I want to remind everyone at home, first off, this is nothing of this is investment advice. This is just commentary. Secondly, if you like what we're doing, subscribe on YouTube and share it with your friends and family and coworkers. Help us get this spread. And finally, if you like what we're doing, if you want to work with us as a team here at Ravenna Capital, we focus on providing our clients with comprehensive wealth management. So let me read one paragraph here to you just to kind of catch up those of you who aren't familiar with this article. It says, finally, he realized why he was feeling strange. Haley was right, not only about being underpaid, but also about his intentions. I was scared by the recession that I was proactively and proudly hurting my staff, he says. Thus began Price's transformation from classic entrepreneur to crusader against income inequality, set on fundamentally changing the way America does business. For 3 years after his face-off with Haley, Price handed out a 20% annual raise. Profit growth continued to substantially outpace wage growth. This spring, he spent 2 weeks running the numbers and battling insomnia before making a dramatic announcement to his 120-member staff in April, inviting NBC News and the New York Times to cover it. Over the next 3 years, he will phase in a minimum wage of $70,000 at Gravity and immediately cut his own salary from $1.1 million to $70,000 to help fund it. So if you guys aren't very familiar, I'll just give you a few bullet points, and then Chelsea, I'm going to pass this to you since this was one that you caught your eye. This guy, Dan Price, was the CEO and founder of a credit card processing company called Gravity Payments. One of his lowest employees was a tech making $35,000 a year, and he was on a smoke break, this tech was, and was complaining to the CEO, and this is where he came up with the idea to do this. Over the course of 3 years, every year he gave all employees a 20% pay increase, and he saw an equal growth or more in revenue. So far, so good. Things are going okay for them at Gravity. So, Chelsea, what do you think about this one?
Well, I'm going to pass it to Bruce because I think this was actually your article.
Oh, did you pull this one?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So
okay. I thought Chelsea did.
He's the one that
okay, fair enough.
Sparked interest in this. I have my opinion, but I'll let him.
So start it off.
Well, first off, the concept today that all CEOs are overpaid kind of brings this one right back to the forefront, that now a CEO is actually making the same thing that his employees are making. And I do think that there's a disconnect with CEOs compared to where we were 20 and 30 years ago from the salary standpoint. The concern that you have is what is the incentive for any employee if they're all making $70,000 to do anything better, and it kind of goes back to when we were in school, and you had a group project. I would always want to be teamed up with a person like Chelsea, because Chelsea's the one that's going to say, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is what you're going to do, and then we'll get the project done. And oh, by the way, I'll write it for everybody.
Yeah.
That was totally me.
That is totally her. And so everybody wants to team up with a person like Chelsea because they don't have to do anything. So as a company, how long is it going to be before this person that answers the phone that's getting paid the same as the person that's making the software, and that person making the software says, well, this is nuts. They're making the same.
No, it doesn't say that everybody's making 70. It says the minimum wage at the company is 70.
Like entry level.
So there are people making more than 70.
Right.
CEO is going to be bringing his to 70, and the starting at this point when they're doing this. And again, let's wait 5 years down the road and let's see if it's still hunky-dory like they think it is today.
One thing to keep in mind about the CEO is, he's only making 70, but he still does have majority ownership of the company. So maybe instead of thinking quarterly of how much he's going to get paid or monthly or whatever, maybe he's thinking long term, trying to sell the company down the future for far more than he could today. So
Yeah, I don't know. I think it talked in the article about how this was one of those kind of like those socialist movements where, you know, you have political candidates telling everybody that there needs to be a fair wage across the board, and as long as you're a U.S. citizen, you get $1,000 a month or something. My opinion on this is that there are industry ranges for every profession. And while I agree to some extent that the starting wage should be the same for everybody, depending on your, like somebody who's just answering phones probably doesn't have the same education as somebody who's doing, you know, technical work or writing software or something like that. So I believe that there has to be some kind of evaluation or some kind of value put on that education that somebody has. But I don't agree just by going by industry standard. So just because you're in a certain profession doesn't mean that your starting wage is this and you're capped at this. That's a kind of a guideline, I would say. But if you find value in what an employee does, or you find value in what they bring to the table, I guess, again, it's a guideline, but it's not the rule. I mean, you can go over that. You don't have to stay under that.
That is what he's doing.
Right. So in a way, I agree with it. I just don't know how it's going to work. Because I think in the article, it said that he had to liquidate all of his IRA, like his retirement savings. He had to do like a second mortgage on his home.
Yes.
He had to completely do a whole lifestyle change in order to do this.
To start the company, or
to do this $70,000
to rework
the entire thing so that he could pay at least every single 120 member employee staff member $70,000. So I don't know how it's going to work. I know that the growth in the company is going, and I know that it's going more than what he's paying people and what the salary was increasing at, but
I'm okay with the CEO deciding to do whatever he wants to with his company. I think for somebody that's sitting there on a smoke break to say the CEO is making too much because I'm not making enough. You know, the CEO was the one that created the job for him in the first place. The CEO was the one that took all the risks to start the company in the first place. And if the CEO had never gone out on a limb to start the company, the guy wouldn't be sitting out on a smoke break bitching about not making enough money.
Well, that's true. Okay, so that's fair. He never said that the CEO was making too much money. He said, I'm not making enough. He
says in the article that he's robbing from them because he's not paying his employees enough.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, so there is that argument. There is that argument that CEOs are making far more than the people at the bottom. But I do think there's something to consider. Is it said that as soon as he made this announcement that he was flooded with something like 1,400 resumes in 1 week.
Yeah, like everybody wanted to come work for him.
So consider that. It's you say, okay, I'm your CEO. I guess this is a message to other business owners out there. If you make it public that you're willing to pay or even overpay for a position, you're going to have more possible talent trying to beat down and get in your company than possible, which, like it shows, again, the last 3 years. 3 years of pay increases, 3 years of equal or more revenue and profit growth. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, time will tell.
This should be one we look back 5 years from now and do another podcast to see exactly where the company is.
You know what they did say in there, that some Harvard, whatever, MBA, Harvard Business School teachers were trying to get a hold of him to see if they could follow closely with all the data.
A study.
Yep, follow all the data points and follow to see how this works. But hey, really cool. There's no doubt about it, though, that it already is. It says it in the article. It's already influencing other companies. I'm sure this will continue influencing people. But okay, anything else you guys want to add to this one?
We're good.
Nope.
No. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and remember, like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.